I'm gonna say something really stupid and really obvious, but I love music. I love music deeply, in my heart of hearts, as many people do. But I am historically very stuck in my own ways. I tend to stick to what I'm used to, and I really don't branch out as much as I'd like to. I always tell myself I'm going to branch out, I'm going to listen to more music, but something is always holding me back. In the past few years, it's been really hard to identify where that roadblock comes from, and I want to fix that. My New Year's resolution for 2026 is to listen to 52 albums in 52 weeks and review each one. One album a week for a whole year. I know people usually don't follow through with their New Year's resolutions, myself included, but I really, really want to commit to something this time. I've had this idea for about a month or so, but it's finally coming to fruition now that the year is in full swing. So how is this gonna work? Every week, I'm going to spin a wheel and review one random album from a predetermined list of 52. I'm going to listen to each album front to back twice, each listen being a day apart from each other so that I can properly digest things. I know it usually takes more than 2 listens for that, but we only have so much time, and I am a busy person, believe it or not, so I'm doing what I can while still giving each album a fighting chance. The reviews will each have a brief intro, my own personal opinions and takes on the album, a ranking out of 10, and a brief outro. My ranking scale is going to be based on how likely I am to re-listen to all of or parts of the album, and whether or not I liked it, and it will not depend on an artist's technical skill whatsoever, since I know nothing about that, and I'm not going to pretend to. The list of albums was picked based on a few different things. It's mostly composed of artists that I hear a lot about in passing, usually online among people my age, albums that I know are relatively mainstream, or albums that are household names of some kind. I also tried to go with an artist or band's most iconic album, or the one that I thought I'd like the most, depending on the context. For example, Abbey Road by the Beatles is one of the options for an artist's most iconic album. I've heard it's not their best, but it is their most famous, and I think it's the one that'll give me the broadest perspective on the impact that they've had culturally. For Lorde, I chose Pure Heroine, and for Fleetwood Mac, I chose Rumours. These feel like the obvious choices since I've never listened to a full project by any of the aforementioned artists. If an album is in there but doesn't necessarily seem like the most iconic choice, it's likely because I've already heard some of the artist's other music, but intend on listening to other things they've put out. Obviously, for Ethel Cain, Preacher's Daughter would be the move, but I've already listened to that album and I like it quite a lot, so Willoughby Tucker, I Will Always Love You is the next best choice, since it's been on my list anyways. There are a few oddballs like Porter Robinson's Smile and Magdalena Bay's Imaginal Disc, but that's just because I have a personal interest in listening to them and personal interest in the music spaces that they occupy, but it's kind of felt like I need to force myself to listen to them for some time now. So that's how it works, but what's the point of all of this? What does this achieve for me, and what does this achieve for you? There are a couple of goals with this project, all in the name of some sort of self-improvement of some kind. I wanted to sit down and talk about it to kind of put these motives into perspective and to work through my thought process out loud. Maybe this will even inspire some people to do the same. The biggest thing that I want to do here is expand my music taste outside of where it already stands. In the last year, my main taste profile has already changed quite a lot, but I'm big and greedy and I want more music in my regular rotation. As of 2023, I was still listening to mostly Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco. I'm already a fan of bands like The Front Bottoms, Modern Baseball, and Hot Mulligan, as well as other artists of that nature. It's not that I don't still love those bands and artists, but I'm not in high school anymore. I want to push myself further, but I really, truly, and genuinely did not know where to start for the longest time. After meeting my current friend group, my music taste has definitely expanded and shifted in the last year and a half or so. Artists like Jane Remover, Underscores, JPEG Mafia, and Danny Brown all densely populate my regular rotation now. You can probably see some of that behind me. This is great as well, and I obviously still love these artists and will continue to love these artists, but it's time to take another step forward. I'll never abandon or forget my other music. Jane Remover was my top artist last year, and I'm sure they'll stay there, but the fact that there's so much out there that I haven't heard genuinely keeps me up at night a little bit, and I think I need to fix that. And the second reason is that for being an influencer, I really suck at my job. I lost the motivation to post reels and short form content for a slew of reasons about a year and a half ago as well. I felt embarrassed by a lot of my content. I didn't feel very connected to it, and I didn't like the version of myself that I was putting online. I also just got really frustrated with how some of my commenters were treating me and how they were talking about me to my face and behind my back, so eventually I wiped almost everything and turned to exclusively photo posting on Instagram, which is really boring. I want to go back to making short form content, and this gives me a pretty good reason to, since I've branched out to YouTube and I've tried long form content, and I've decided I want to do both. It's changing to something a little more scripted in the short form sense, and something that feels like it has a little more purpose, aside from just shit posting, throwing things at the wall and hoping it sticks. I've been meaning to pivot to music-based content for a while anyways, as well as scripted commentary in my short form videos, kind of like the way I do my YouTube videos, but I never really knew how, which leads me to reason 3 for starting the series, which is that I want to learn how to review music. Listen, I don't intend to become the next Anthony Fantano or anything, nor do I think this would be a career path for me, but sounds like fun. It sounds like it will be a fun experience, and that's enough for me to commit to it. The idea of doing shorter music reviews and sharing how I see such a pivotal part of my life feels like it'll be fulfilling in a way. I have a very bad music vocabulary, and I have a really difficult time putting into words how I feel about the things that I hear. I want to change that for my own sake because I'm usually really good at describing my thoughts on things. I mean, I have a whole YouTube channel with videos from the past year that show I'm pretty good with my words. I've been critically analyzing books and TV for years purely for my own enjoyment, and that comes really easy to me. I've been listening to music for just as long, but there's a pretty broad gap in my abilities between describing art forms, and that really, really frustrates me. It's kind of sad in a way, and again, I want to fix that. You'll notice I'm going to say, I want to fix that quite a lot here. The whole point of this is like self-discovery and all that fun stuff. And finally, I just want to better my pop culture knowledge a little bit. I genuinely feel like I live under a rock sometimes. I feel like this is going to help broaden my cultural knowledge a bit, as well as all of the other stuff that I mentioned before. I'm very tapped out of charting pop music and mainstream hip hop. I don't understand a lot of bigger conversations that are happening with people my age, not because I'm not capable of it, but all because I have years of music that I need to catch up on. I haven't listened to most things people I know have, and I'm tired of it. I'm sick and tired of not knowing what's going on 90% of the time. But that's why the first few reviews have already been super successful. I decided to get ahead of my first few reviews since I'm currently on winter break and it's been easier to record them all at once so I don't fall behind on them later. School gets really busy, so forgive me for not actually listening to one album per real life week. The internet is full of lies and at least I'm transparent about mine. So far, I've listened to Dangerous Woman by Ariana Grande, Smile by Porter Robinson, and The College Dropout by Kanye West. All of these are vastly different albums in scope, genre, and impact, which is why I think they were a perfect first batch. In these first 3 reviews, I have learned quite a lot. Dangerous Woman was a really good first start, because I think after a first listen that it's a generally palatable album, it's quite popular, and people have a relatively positive view of Ariana Grande as an artist. I knew a really good chunk of the songs beforehand from the radio, but not so much that it felt repetitive as a first listen to me. I enjoyed it way more than I expected and left the experience with a lot of hope and some more confidence about the whole idea that I had prior. It was fulfilling to listen to, it gave me new music to put into my rotation. I was able to say something positively, get my foot in the door, but there were still valid critiques that I did have, and that gave me a good jumping point on how to start talking critically about music. Smile was unfortunately not a hit for me, but I think that was also ultimately a good thing. It gave me a chance to express my opinion on something that I didn't like, but not something that I thought was, like, horrible. I understood the appeal of the album, but it just really wasn't for me, and I was able to dissect that a little bit, even if I don't have the exact vocabulary yet. You have to start somewhere, and this really forced me to try, because I didn't like the album, but I wanted to explain that in a respectful manner, and I think I was successful with that. I know giving that album a 5.5 out of 10 is going to upset a lot of really dedicated Porter Robinson fans, but I also need to be comfortable with upsetting people a little bit. Not in the sense of hurting feelings, but in the sense of disagreement. The music community can be really toxic, so I need to get a thicker skin and learn some more patience if I want to enjoy music and discuss it openly and publicly. That's a big reason I haven't really stepped in further, because I feel like if I express distaste for something, or even sometimes taste for something that is popular, there's gonna be met with some sort of scrutiny, and that's really exhausting, but I think this will teach me to kind of just let that roll off my back a little easier. And College Dropout, this was the most interesting one so far. Not only did I like the music, which was complicated emotionally, but I felt like I understood something I really didn't get before. While I obviously wasn't there for this release or any of Kanye's releases after this, experiencing this album on a first and second listen gave me not only an emotional understanding, but a social one. The album truly made me realize why people react the way that they do to things Kanye says and does, which are often horrible. The heartbreak and anger is much clearer to me now that I've experienced in full what was taken from a lot of people due to Kanye's shitty and borderline dangerous, in many occasions, behaviors. Good music and memories, childhoods, and college careers that this was the soundtrack to are completely dampened by the horrible person behind it. Because it's good music. This album is really incredible, and that's deeply upsetting and conflicting to me, so I can't imagine what it's like to have grown up with this. And that's a broader understanding that I wouldn't have had if I didn't force myself to listen to this. All three of these albums, but especially College Dropout, have already kind of proved my thesis that this project would open me up to being more understanding about things I wasn't exposed to before. I felt it the most clearly with College Dropout, but I felt like I was able to tap into conversations that I simply didn't have access to before. I can understand and wrap my head around things way better now, and even if I'm mostly at the phase where I can just sit and listen to other people, at least it's starting to make more sense. I'm really excited to see this project out. Leaving these first 3 reviews has left me motivated and inspired about music and discussing music in a way I have never really felt before. Even if it came with some negative feelings, what I've been exposed to in just 3-ish hours of music, give or take, has been so deeply fulfilling already. I feel like I have a purpose in doing this. Like, there is a point. I want to know more, and I always want to learn. I wake up every day and I want to learn something new. And I say that genuinely, as corny as it is, but this is the year of new media for me, and I really can't wait to share it. You can check out a comprehensive list of all the albums I plan to listen to this year in a Google Sheet that is linked below. It is all the albums that I've already listened to in order that I've listened to them, and everything else that's left listed alphabetically below that in a separate section. You can see the scores, the written review linked on Album of the Year, and the TikTok reviews linked as well. Each review will likely be between 1.5 to 3 minutes. If you see an album you like in there, I really hope you stick around to see what I have to say about it. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, you can find me everywhere. My socials are all linked below in the description. Like I said before, you can watch all of my past and future music reviews on my TikTok or my Instagram by scrolling through the Reels tab on my page. You can watch my other YouTube videos, which are either linked here or just by scrolling through my channel. It's a mix of content, usually media analysis or some form of social commentary, if any of that piques your interest. If you want to support me in my endeavors financially, you can donate on Ko-fi or subscribe to my Patreon, which are also linked below. Thank you so much to my patrons whose names are on the screen. They put up with a lot of bullshit. And again, thank you for watching. I hope you stick around, and I will see you in the next video. Like and subscribe. Do all that embarrassing YouTube stuff so I don't have to say it. Thanks. Ugh! I accidentally hit record. Okay.